were doing the Iraqi Sympathizer gimmick, was there any other WWF wrestlers who sort of told you what they thought of the character, good, bad? Like, what did people behind the scenes think of it, other wrestlers?
Well, most of the people in the business understood that I was portraying a character, and I was asked to do that, as they all were. They all were asked to do certain characters. And so I just happened to do mine a little bit stronger than they were. And, I had this war going on. And as soon as the war started, of course, I said, that's it. Lives are being lost. I'm not going to be promoting Iraq and being an Iraqi sympathizer if we're losing lives. This is the real deal. The war is the real deal. And so we kind of backed off on it. But they pretty much understood. It was the fans that didn't quite understand. And to this day, I still get people that send me a social media, you're no good, you're a Iraqi sympathizer. I don't believe that you wanted your country back. I got it so far that they actually believed it all.
So you have the big program with Hogan in 1991, and then Hogan doesn't last that much longer in the WWF. He kind of winds down. It kind of felt like Hogan was checking out a little bit in WWF, kind of after the feud that you had. Did you get that sense in the company that Hogan was kind of done with being Hulk Hogan in WWF?
Yeah, Hulk was a great talker. He could talk the chrome off a bumper, but he didn't know a wrist launch from a hammerlock. And so you'd have to lead him around. But he was our golden goose. He was the guy that made us the money. And if you wanted to be in that ring with Hogan, and he wanted to be in the ring with me because he knew it was a night off pretty much, that I led the match, and I did all the work for him. I took all the slams and all the things, and he just did all of his things and did his one-legged pirate walking around and ooh and boom and leg drop and he got to go home. So he wanted to be there with me. So when he started getting to the point where the leg drops were starting to hurt more, and I think the last I heard he had like 12 or 13 back operations because he was doing these. Me, I was a little bit smarter when I first started. I kept the Cobra Clutch. I didn't have to go off a top rope. I didn't have to slam anybody. I didn't have to go run and drop something on somebody. I just got behind them and put them in the Cobra Clutches. A few of you got tonight. I think there was only one person that I really put a snug on a little bit, but it was the little guy. But it was just his time. He had some marital problems, a lot of not financial, but he had some problems. And when you get that popular, when you're that well known, you're going to get problems whether you want them or not. They're just going to come. They're going to come at you. We went to dinner last night in London at a Italian restaurant, and some guy saw my rings, and he goes, "Oh, are those Super Bowl rings?" And I said, "No, they're Hall of Fame rings." Hall of Fame, Wrestling Hall of Fame? Yeah, Wrestling Hall of Fame, WWE, G.I. Joe. And, "Oh, you know Hulk Hogan?" I said, "Yeah, I know Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan knows me." And so I get my phone out, and I showed a picture of me with Hulk, because when I first went back to the second time I went back to be the Iraqi sympathizer, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, stole my Cobra Clutch and called it the $1 Million Dream. So Vince said, "You can't use the Cobra Clutch because Ted's using it as the $1 Million Dream. So you got to think of something else." So I started using this knuckle to the temple and making guys submit. And so Vince came to me and says, "We're getting 1,000 calls a day from parents. Quit using that. Their kids are going to school and digging a knuckle into the kid's head. And they're killing people, So don't use that." So I I said, well, how about if I use Cosro? So I called Cosro. Is Cosro okay if I use the camel clutch? Oh, yes, Sergeant. You use it, Sergeant. You use it. So I started using the camel clutch. So I got a picture at WrestleMania 7 where I got Hulk in the camel clutch and he's bleeding profusely. So I get this picture and said, Hulk Hogan. The guy goes, whoa, Hulk Hogan. And of course, from that point on, everybody in the restaurant got a Cobra clutch and a coin, just like you did tonight.
So you then, obviously, because the Iraqi Sympathizer thing had run its course, you find America again, you become an American hero again, and you team with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But you and Jim Duggan used to ride together. Have you got any good Jim Duggan stories?
Oh, yeah, I got a million. So when Hacksaw first came into the WWE, he wasn't Hacksaw. He was just big Jim Duggan. And I was doing the Cobra Clutch Challenge. And I forgot to tell you all that there was $100,000 if you could get out of the Cobra Clutch. Too bad, too late. So anyway, no rematches. So I was doing it for $5,000. They'd show a check, Sgt Slaughter, and the name, was blank. Anybody that can get out of the Cobra Clutch gets $5,000. So wrestlers would come up, and nobody could get out of it. So here comes Hacksaw in. First night, I put a couple guys in the Cobra Clutch Challenge, and they can't get out of it. I'm sitting in the locker room, and I'm not supposed to wrestle the next show, that next hour. And Hacksaw comes to me. I keep calling him Hacksaw, but he was only Jim then. And he said, hey, Sgt Slaughter, you mind if I could try that Cobra Clutch? And I said, you want to do the Cobra Clutch Challenge? He says, yeah, I think I can get out of it. I said, oh, well, go talk to that man over there, Mr. McMahon Sr., and ask him about it. If he okays it, then we'll do it. So pretty soon here comes Vince Sr. This guy wants to go for the Cobra Clutch. You want to do it? I said, if he wants to do it, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. Okay. So I put my stuff back on. Now I'm on the third hour. I said, any exposure is good exposure. So Hacksaw gets in the chair, and of course he can't get out of it. And we get done for the night, and we're get ready to leave. He goes, hey, Sarge, you think tomorrow night I could try that again? I think I got it figured out. And I said, well, we'll figure that out. I said, where are you staying tonight? He said, oh, I'm just going to sleep in my car. And I said, sleep in your car? He said, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of money. From Glens Falls, New York, and didn't make it in the Canadian Football League, so I'm trying to become a wrestler. I said, oh, well, why don't you follow me? I'll call Mr. McMahon, and you can be on the same cards that I'm on if you want. He said, oh, I appreciate that, Where's your car? So he said, oh, it's right over here. So we go over to his car, and the driver's side of his car is all T-bowed. Somebody had hit him. So he gets in the passenger side, and he's almost like driving in the middle of the car with a steering wheel like that, with the foot pedals. So he's following me down the highway, and we get to my apartment, and I said, just park that thing in the back over there. We're not going to worry about that car anymore. You just travel with me. So we started being roommates, and we started playing these video games. And I beat him every time, $20. We played football, baseball, hockey, little games. So he could never beat me. So one day we get to this venue that we're going to wrestle at, and we're a little early. We're about 2 hours early. So I said, you guys want to go to a movie? Or Stan Hansen was with us. I don't know if you all know Stan Hansen, but Stan Hansen was traveling with us. So you want to go to a buffet? You want to go eat somewhere? What do you want to do? I don't want to eat. I don't want to go to a movie. So all of a sudden, Hacksaw gives me a chop while I'm driving. Oh, Jesus, what? Over there, Slaughter, right over there. Take your car right over there. And so I'm driving. I said, where? He said, right over there. That bowling alley right there. I know something I can beat you at. So I said, Jim, I haven't bowled in 40 years. He said, well, that's too bad. I said, can I have a practice game? Yeah, you can have a practice game. So Stan says, I'm not going to bowl. I'll just keep score. So I do the practice game. So I go up and I throw my ball. And I'm sure you all know what bowling is here. I don't have to demonstrate. So I bowl about a 62 or something like that, and Hacksaw bowls 140 or whatever. So he says, okay, Slaughter, let's go. And okay, let's do it. How about, since I've been beating you so bad in all these other games, how about if we go $20? Okay, let's go $20. And how about $1 a pin? He said, what do you mean $1 a pin? I said, well, like, I had 61 and you had 141. Whatever difference is, it's $1. And he went, yeah, okay, let's go. So we flipped a coin. He went first, and he got maybe a 9 or a spare or whatever. So then I went to throw my ball, and I stopped at the foul line, and I looked at my ball, and I walked back, and he said, what's the matter? Something wrong? I said, something's wrong. I can't figure it out. I go to throw my ball again. I stop. I walk back. Come on, Slaughter. What's the deal? You don't want to get beat? What's the deal? You want to go back on your bet? I said, no. I just was thinking maybe we should do $5 a pin instead of I've really been beat. Well, okay. All right. So what's wrong with your hand? Nothing. So I went to throw the ball. Come on, Slaughter, there's something wrong. What's wrong? I said, I figured it out. What is it? I said, I'm not left-handed. I forgot I'm right-handed. And he went, what? What did you just say? I said, I'm a right-handed bowler. I've been bowling left-handed. I wasn't thinking, you know. And so I beat him out of quite a bit of money. And so I used to bowl like 4 nights a week when I was, I had like almost a 200 average when I was bowling. And so Stan Hansen's dying. He's keeping score. And every time he's adding up the money. And so we get back to the car, we go to the arena, and Hacksaw's pouting. That's not right, Slaughter. That's not right what you did there. I said, I'm sorry, Hacksaw. I just, I wasn't thinking. And so we get to the arena, and we go to get out, and Stan can't get out of the car fast enough. And he goes, Stan, don't you tell anybody what the Sarge just did. Don't you tell anybody. He said, I won't say a word. We walk in. Hey, everybody, you got to hear what Slaughter did to Jim Duggan over here on the bowling alley. You'll never believe it. So, if you ever get a chance and you're to meet Hacksaw and get an autograph from him, ask him if he'd like to go bowling. I do it to him all the time at events. So he's got these little 2x4s that he signs, and somebody will come over and get an autograph for me, and I'll go back over there and ask him if he wants to bowl. Then pretty soon I'll hear, that ain't funny, Slaughter.
The team with you and Jim Duggan didn't last very long, but you did, one of your last matches in 1992 was against Nailz, the very short-lived character Nailz. What were your thoughts on Nailz? And I've got to ask, were you there that infamous day where Nailz had his behind-the-scenes situation with Vince?
Yeah, lunatic is what I call him. I happen to know him because he lived in Minnesota where I lived, and when you go to his house, he had like 3 or 4 Rottweilers, and they were trained on his command. And if you went to the door and knocked, you wouldn't hear a sound, and he'd open that door, and he'd go, yeah. Not just to me, but somebody that wasn't supposed to be at his house. Can I help you? And there'd be 3 dogs with their ready to pounce on these people. But he was a lunatic, yeah. But so I had this match with him, and it went okay. I did him a favor, tried to give him a push to go. And so what? Now I'm basically out of the business. I did him a favor. I put the boots back on to help him out. But I'm working backstage as a producer. And so we have this meeting in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And after the meeting, we all leave, and Vince likes to stay into the office there and do some phone calls and do some business and everything. So myself and Arnold Skolin and Tony Gurria and a couple other guys were standing around just talking, Jack Lanza. And here comes Nailz. And he goes, "Hey, Sarge, how you doing?" I said, "Good. Is Vince around?" I said, "Yeah, he's in the office here." He said, "Do you think I could talk to him?" I said, "Well, let me see." So I opened up the door. I walked in. I said, "Vince, Nailz wanted to have a word with you." He said, "Yeah, send him in." So I said, "Okay, you can go in." So we're all kind of there standing, just listening. All of a sudden, we heard the furniture going, and I go in, and Vince is on the floor on his back, and Nailz is on top of him, choking him. And he's choking him and choking him. So what the hell is he doing? So I went around, and I knocked his hands up off of Vince's throat, and I shoved him up against the blackboard. And I'm holding him. And a couple of other guys came in, and they're helping Vince get up. And Nailz breaks away from me, and he gets on Vince again and starts choking him the second time. And so I do the same thing. I turn around, I get a running start at it, and I knock his hands off his throat again, and I put him up against the blackboard. And they get Vince out of there, and all of a sudden, Nailz kind of relaxes, and he looks right at my face, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Sarge." "I didn't mean to get you involved in this." And I said, I'm involved. I know you didn't want me to get involved, but I'm here. You need to get the hell out of here. What are you doing? You crazy?" He said, "Oh, no, I just want to talk some business." So I escorted him out of the room, and he said, "Do you know if there's a payphone around here?" And I said, "Yeah, right there." So he goes around, dials 911. Next thing, I hear all the cops are coming. They come in, and he says, that Vince McMahon molested me. He was trying to feel me and whatever, and I had to choke him. So I want to press charges on him. Now, what in the hell is wrong with this guy? And so that's where it was left. And of course, they had a couple of guys got Nailz drunk the night before and told him how much Vince was screwing him out of his payoffs. And so he came there to strangle the money out of him, I guess. But I was right there. I was a part of that.